Hey, what's going on, my ASVAB party people? Anderson here, your ASVAB coach, and I want to thank you for watching this video. It's a free recording. That way you can raise your score, get the score you want, and the military job you deserve. All I ask is that you like, comment, and subscribe to this channel. That way we can keep putting out great content for you on a week-to-week basis. And if you like what you see in this class, feel free to check out the full website. That way you can get all of the resources that you need to pass. At the end of the day, it's about getting the score you want and the military job you deserve. So if you want to join the classes or use other great resources, those links are going to be in the video description below. Get to it and let's ace the ASVAB. It's a way to win. When you just look at every situation and you say, hey, how can I better myself from this? How can I come out on top? If you are consistently looking for reasons to succeed, as opposed to allowing excuses for failure keep you where you are, then you will ultimately find success. All right? So you have to build that mindset, because that mindset can take you to success wherever you are. And I'm absolutely serious about saying that. That's why I have these PSAs every day, because I care about you guys, not just in terms of passing the ASVAB, but becoming the person that you want to be, plain and simple. And so if you're about that life, you know what I'm about to say, type in hashtag Ace The ASVAB and let's get it going today, gang. Let me let in a few more people here. There we go. Well, there we go. So I really do hope that that resonates with you guys, for real. At the end of the day, again, excuses for failure, turn them to reasons for success. So let's go ahead and hop in now. First things first, again, we're doing distance, rate, and time word problems today. So this topic, if this is your first time going through it or refreshing on it ever since high school or whenever the last time was that you saw this, well, I'm going to make it as easy as possible for us. So the one formula that you're going to have to write down today is right here. Distance equals rate times time. All right. That is the biggest thing that we're going to be learning today. And the thing is, I want to make sure I'm very clear about this. If your goal is to simply memorize without actually truly understanding and knowing how to apply it, well, you're putting yourself in a position to fail, because the ASVAB doesn't test you on your ability to memorize things. That's not what they're doing. They're testing you on your ability to apply what you know. So for every formula that you learn, you got to make sure that you know why and how it works. Plain and simple. So if you didn't write that down, if you didn't know that before, you have to make sure you know how and why every formula works. So understand every formula. All right. Understand every formula. That is your goal, because at the end of the day, they can give you a problem that'll have you work forward, or a problem that'll have you work backwards. An easy example of this, let's go and take it to statistics. If we have a problem, let me just ask you guys real quick. Everybody here, yes or no? Do you know how to calculate the mean or the average? Yes or no? Flat out, yes or no? And I'm only using the chat box right now because we got a lot of people want to make sure that we're good here. So straight up, yes or no, do you know how to calculate average? And so the majority of people, I'm seeing like 3 or 4 yeses for every no, which is expected. 4-1 right now. Good. Now, if I were to ask you, if I were to give you the average and then 9 out of 10 numbers in a data set, and if I gave you the average and only 9, not all 10, if I give you 9 of those numbers, could you then calculate what that 10th number was? Could you work backwards with that formula? Do you know how? Flat out, yes or no? And now I'm seeing a lot more no's here. I'm seeing a 1-to-1 almost of yes and no. So there's a no for every yes now. Oh, there's a lot more no's now. And there we go. So look, at the end of the day, it is not about memorizing. It is about understanding and comprehension and how to apply these things. I'm telling you, those of us here that get above an 80 on the ASVAB, that's what their focus is, not just simply memorizing. That is part of the process, but you need to go beyond that and comprehend. So with that said, I hope you're taking these notes down, but here we go. Distance equals rate times time. Distance, I got to be very clear here. Distance is not just like a length. It's not just feet or miles or yards or whatever. It's not solely that. Distance is really whatever we're trying to accomplish, any amount that we're trying to reach. And typically, yeah, we do definitely see, yeah, for sure, miles, yards, feet, for sure. Not arguing that. But another type of distance that we could be talking about, money. Money, it could be an amount that you're trying to achieve. Because you could be saying, hey, I'm trying to save $2,000 and I'm saving $100 every day. How much time will it take me to get there? And you see, that does fit. Money does fit in this context as a distance. But remember, distance is not just a length. It's any amount that you're trying to accomplish. I got to make that clear because you can apply this formula in so many ways, not just those distance problems. And so another amount that we could be dealing with for distance could be weight. Let's go ahead and say that, you're trying to gain or lose a certain amount of weight over a span of like 6 months. And you could say, hey, how many pounds per month do I have to lose or gain to reach that goal? Again, so many different things other than pure distance that actually qualify as distance. So before I continue, yes or no, does that make sense so far? Again, that just distance is an amount that you're trying to accomplish, everybody. Yes or no, let me know. That rhymes. All right, perfect. Perfect. All right, now let's go ahead and discuss rate a little bit here. So rate is the speed or the pace that you're achieving that distance at. So there's a very clear keyword here when it comes to rate, and it's per or for every or anything that joins 2 units. So for example, one example of a rate, miles per hour. Notice how miles per hour, miles and hours are 2 different units, but they're joined by that word per. Same thing with dollars per hour. We got dollars an hour and that word per joining them. Rates are the combination of 2 units into 1. It basically tells you the pace at which, again, you're achieving something. And so I know this is sounding a little dry and boring. I know, guys, I know, but we got to get through this mud here. That way we can get to the fun stuff with the word problems. And so next, another example, guys, pages per minute. This is another example that you guys have also actually seen on the ASVAB. If we've seen that problem on a practice test or an actual test where we essentially are given pages per minute. When they say, hey, again, Jeremy, hey, this guy, Jeremy, he can read 45 words a minute. How long is it going to take him to read 1,200 words? So again, yes or no, have you seen a problem like that before on the ASVAB or a practice test? And there it is. That's a lot of people here. And be honest. If it's a no, it's a no. It's all good. But that's the fact of the matter. Again, rate, word problems, time, distance. Distance is not just length. It's more than that. It's anything that you're trying to accomplish. And so the last thing here is time. And for the sake of keeping it simple, time is just time. All right. Seconds, hours, days, weeks, whatever it is. That's all it is. All right. And so there we are. And so a quick bit of advice before we continue here. Make sure the units match up. Got to make sure the units match up. So one example that I can use for this is if we're starting off by saying, hey, we're trying to, we're looking at an ant and that ant can travel, 3 inches per second. How long will it take the ant to travel 5 feet? So did you hear me there? The ant can travel 3 inches per second. How long will it take it to travel 10 or 5 feet? Feet and inches, not the same unit. You're going to have to convert before you apply everything to the formula. So everybody got that? Yes or no? Make sure the units always match up. Give me a yes or no if we got that down. And again, we're going to be looking at plenty of examples, so don't freak out, so early if you think that, you're not going to be able to look at all this. Don't worry, I got you. All right, booyah. So hopefully this doesn't kick me off again. My internet's fine, so we're good. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look here, and let me move this over. Cool, that's actually way better. All right, cool. So here we go. Let's take a look at this example. Now, before I even begin here, I'm going to go ahead and open up the mic to everyone here. And what I want everybody to tell me is, what is the first thing that you need to do when you start a word problem, no matter what? I'll let y'all take over.
Read the question.
All right. So if this is your first session, that's your very, very first huge ASVAB lesson of the day. Whenever you're doing word problems of any kind, it could be in math, it could be paragraph comprehension, I don't care. If you are doing a word problem, your very first move is to read the question. That question has all the secrets. It's going to tell you what you're trying to figure out. And most times it gives you a hint in terms of how to do it. But it's all about those keywords and not really overwhelming yourself with information before you know what that information means. So what I mean is go straight to the question. How far did the car travel? That's what we're focusing on. Because at the end of the day, everybody, is it stressful when even outside of academics, outside of math, outside of paragraph, like outside of all this, in real life, is it stressful when someone is just throwing a bunch of information your way that you have no idea what its purpose is until they actually tell you down the road? Isn't it stressful?
Yes.
Right? And so let's go ahead and keep it easy for ourselves. Yes. Let's go ahead and make it easy on ourselves, gang. Read the question first so you know what the purpose of this information is before you overwhelm yourself with it. So when we ask ourselves, how far did the car travel? When you think about that, and let me go ahead and mute everybody real quick there. But when we think about that, how far did the car travel? Everybody, what's a keyword or keywords that we can highlight here to understand what we're actually looking for? Jadrian, right there. I'll take that one first and foremost. Yes. How far, right, did the car travel? Again, we're focusing on the question first, focusing on that highlight. But right there, how far did the car travel? No ifs, ands, or buts about it, right? That is definitely talking about what kind of a unit, a distance, a rate, or a time when we say how far. Alexis is saying distance, 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 and there's a floodgates right there. Exactly. We're looking for distance. We're looking for distance. Boom. So there it is. And so with that said, boom, D equals what? That's what we're looking for. Now what we're going to do here is understand that, hey, look, if we're looking for a distance, they're either going to need to give us a bunch of distances to add up, or they're going to have to give us a rate and a time to work off of. Everybody, do we see either of those happening here? Do they give us more distances to add up, or do they give us rate and time? Like, what do they give us here? You guys point it out for me. Type it out. What do we see here? Oh, we got rate and time, rate and time, rate and time. All right, cool. Let's go ahead and match this up then. Let's match it up then. All right, gang, I see y'all. So here we go. The 45 miles per hour. What kind of a unit is that, everybody? And give me a reason. The 45 miles per hour, what kind of a unit and why? Why? Be specific here. All right, I see y'all saying rates for sure. I see rates. Tawan says miles per hour because of the word per, Janae. There we go. That's it right there. The word per, that's right, Mr. Brito. That is exactly right. The word per gives it away. You're saying you're going 45 miles. Let me zoom in here. You're going 45 miles per every hour. So that is a rate. It's 2 units together. You go this far after this much time. This far after this much time. That's a pace. And so booyah, we have a rate being 45 miles per hour. And I'm going to highlight that for us right there, nice and clear. That's why it's a rate, because of the word per. Exactly. Mario, that's exactly right. Now, with that said, what does that 8 mean? 8 hours here. Let's, I mean, I'm pandering a little bit because I know you guys know, but let's just be real. What does 8 hours represent? Wait, quite clearly. Yeah, it's definitely going to be time. Absolutely, right? Absolutely going to be time. So we have a distance that we're looking for, a rate given to us, and a time given to us. Everyone, yes or no? Honest question. Do we have enough information here to solve this problem? That's right. What's that P word that we're going to do now to solve this? We are going to blank this information into the formula. What are we going to do? Yeah, we are going to plan, and the plan is to plug in those numbers. Exactly. The plan is to plug in the numbers because, again, let's not kid ourselves. Distance equals rate times time. And I'm going to rewrite it again with the colors that we're using to make sure I'm being very, very, very clear here. So distance equals rate times time. Right there. Let's plug in the information, substitute it, whatever way you want to say it, exactly. And let's get to it. So here we are, distance right there. That's what we're looking for. We're going to plug in the rate that we found, which is going to be 45. And then we're going to plug in the time. And there we are. And just before we continue, let's make sure that we're good in terms of the units. We're looking for how far they traveled in miles. Look at those answer choices. That says miles. Was the rate in miles? Yeah, miles per hour, but we have miles. All right, cool. Now then look at the time really quick. The time is hours. Does the rate represent hours? Yes, it does. So that's just a quick little check to make sure that everything matches up before you continue. Because remember, just like I was talking about earlier with that little ant example, 3 inches per second versus how long it'll take to travel 5 feet. Feet, inches, gotta match it up. Here we did that. We're good to go. So all we have to do is ask ourselves, what the heck is 45 times 8? And everybody blow it up in the chat box. What is 45 times 8? That's right. So for those of y'all saying C, yeah, that's 360. That's right. So if you want to do 45 times 8, 48. If you want to do 45 times 8, you can do it the long way, right? You can do it the long way to get 360. But let me go ahead and share with you an easy mental math trick. So everybody, quick question. Is 8 the same thing as 2 times 4? Is 8 the same thing as 2 times 4? Just a quick question there. Yeah, it is. So for those of you guys that aren't used to using mental math, I'm going to show you how easy mental math can be as long as you know how to speak the alphabet of math, which is just knowing how to play with numbers a little bit. If you know that 8 is 2 times 4, you can just say not times 8, but instead just go ahead and do times 2, then times 4. Because everybody, do you know what 45 times 2 is? That should be a pretty clear one in terms of the basics of mental math. What's 45 times 2? Ooh, Tawan was quick with it. First one there. That's right, 90. 45 times 2 is 90. And then when you ask yourself, hey, what's 90 times 4? What's that going to be? Well, that's 9 times 4, which is 36. So 90 times 4 has to be 360. And that would be 360 miles since we're looking for a distance. Since we're looking for a distance, it is 360 miles. So I got 2 questions for you. So Lance, that was meant to be done in your head. You don't want to do that on paper. The purpose of mental math is to do it mentally. Obviously, I have to write it out to show you guys what I'm talking about. But with time, if you're looking at 45 times 8, instead of writing it on paper, you can just go ahead and say, hey, 45 times 2, 90 times 4, 360, done. So first question is, did the mental math here make any sort of sense to you? Yes or no? And then I got a follow-up question. But yes or no, did that mental math make sense to you? Got a couple of yeses, a few yeses, a lot of yeses. Cool. Perfect. And that's just a little bit of a lot of mental math that you can end up doing for yourself, for sure. Now, the second question, the follow-up question is, do you understand how we first understood that this was a distance, rate, time problem? And then how we subsequently plugged in those numbers where it belonged in the formula to solve. But the first one's more important. Do you understand how we noticed that it was a distance, rate, and time problem? All right, that's good to see. Good. All right, so I'm going to walk us through another problem here. I'm going to walk us through another one here, and then I'm going to have you try the next one after that. All right, so here is the next one. Jacob flew his plane 5,600 miles in 12 hours. Everybody, what did I just do wrong? What did I just do wrong? Who loves pointing out what I did wrong? That's right. Didn't read the question first. Remember, When it comes to word problems, do yourself a favor. Read that question first to put yourself in the best position to succeed. So here we are. What was Jacob's speed in miles per hour? Right there. What was Jacob's? Oh, wow, look at that. Remember how I told you sometimes the problem will literally give you what you're looking for and how to get there? What's that key word there? In the red highlight, everybody. What's the key word there, man? What's going to give away what we're looking for? Yeah, y'all are saying per, like per hour, speed. Elaine, you got it. That for me is the biggest key word, speed. Because we do know that speed is denoted in miles per hour. Like they like literally serve it to you, or I did because I wrote the problem, but we serve it to you on a silver platter here. We're telling you straight up, we're looking for speed in miles per hour. And everybody, speed is what kind of a unit in terms of what we're talking about today? Tawan, again, speedy right there. Yes, that is a rate. Exactly. If we're looking for speed, we're looking for rate. Looking for a rate. Now, if we're looking for the rate, they're either going to have to give us, again, direct information to get us to the rate, or it has to be part of the distance, rate, time phenomenon. So we're not going to find out unless we actually surf through the information. So with that said, let's go ahead and surf into the information and see what we got. So I'm going to highlight some information here and let's see what we can do with it. Jacob flew his plane 5,600 miles in 12 hours. Well, everybody, the 5,600, what would we classify that as? Yes, yep. That is a distance. Absolutely all day. Now, the 12 hours, what is that going to be? That is time. That is correct. That is correct. Now, here's what I want everyone to do. I'm going to give you 20 seconds here to do this. This is a quick little task. I'm going to give you 20 seconds to try this on your own. I want you to plug in the information into the distance, rate, time formula. Just plug them in. And I want you to type out what you have as the equation. We're not going to solve it yet. We're just going to plug in the numbers where they belong. I'm going to give you 20 seconds here and just type it out, but don't hit enter. Just wait for it. And I'll tell you when to hit enter. Okay. So start now. You're good, Alexis. You're good. So just type it out and then you'll hit enter after 20 seconds. Go. But just fill in the information into the formula. And I want to see if you know where everything belongs. You're good. Yeah, guys, you're good. I wasn't able to explain it before you got it down. So it's all good. All right. So 3, 2, and 1. Type it out. Go, guys. Go ahead. Hit enter. What do we have? What do we have? So I see a lot of us, almost everybody here is saying 5,600, which is the distance. That is correct. That's what a lot of you are saying. Equals, all right, are we looking for the rate? We absolutely are. So that's why a lot of us kept the R as R. And then time was given to us as 12 hours. And so we would plug that in right there. Absolutely, absolutely. So if you got anything that resembles this in terms of 5,600 equals R times 12, absolutely correct. Another alternative is the following way. If you said that R equals 5,600 divided by 12, that's also another way. Because if you're looking at that, you understand that rate equals distance divided by time. How do we get there? Well, let me just entertain this for a moment, guys. If distance equals rate times time, and you're trying to get the rate by itself, let me ask everybody one clear time here. If we have distance equals rate times time, and we want to get the rate by itself, what should we do to both sides? What should we do? And be specific here, be specific, be specific. I don't want to hear just one word or two words there. What is it really? Divide both sides by t. Yep, that's it right there. Divide both sides by t. If you want to get the R by itself, you got to get rid of homie T over here. You got to get rid of it. And so the only way to get rid of it is to do the opposite operation, right? Solving equations, do the opposite. And so if you're multiplying by T, you got to divide both sides by T. So does everybody understand where this comes from right here? That rate equals distance divided by time. Do y'all understand that those are the same formula? Distance equals rate times time, and rate equals distance divided by time. It's the same thing. All we did was do the same thing to both sides, and now it looks different, but it's still the same thing. Still the same thing. I got you, Mario. I got you, Mario. So long story short, because I want to make sure we get to all the problems here, but I got you, Mario. So if we have distance equals rate times time, watch this. If I go ahead and divide both sides by time, Mario, I'm asking you specifically, what's going to happen with both of these T's right here? If we're multiplying, then dividing by a T, what's going to happen, Mario? Don't know. No worries. Okay, so I see where you're coming from. Okay, no worries. All right? So I see where you're at currently. So when you do the opposite operation, what ends up happening, Mario, is that those numbers tend to cancel out. So for example, Mario, let me know if this makes sense to you. If we have, let's go ahead and say 2x equals, let's go ahead and say 50. Do you know that if we go ahead and divide both sides by 2, that we are ultimately going to have the 2's here canceling out on the left side, Mario? Yes or no? Cool. So that's the same idea that we're applying here. Same idea, except we're just using letters instead of numbers, but it's the same idea. If you have the same thing being multiplied and then divided, well, then it's going to be canceling out no matter what. And so that's why, again, we end up with distance divided by time equals the rate. Distance divided by time equals rate. Or you can say rate equals distance divided by time, whatever way you want to say it, whatever way, but you're good to go. So with that, that's why that formula works as well. You know, if you want to memorize both and understand where they came from, that's perfect, because now all we have to do is divide 5,600 by 12 and we're done. And we're done. So with that said, we can use mental math, or we can straight up just go ahead and try to divide 12 into 5,600. Either way, whichever method's faster for you, go ahead and go for it. I'm going to go this way because a lot of people understand it this way. 12 goes into 56 4 times. We'll subtract 48, and that will end up giving us 8 as the remainder. We drop the 0, and so now we have 12 going into 80. That will end up being 6 times, because 12 times 6 is 72. And then we have 8 left over again. So everybody, what ends up happening when you get the same remainder twice or more when it comes to long division? What happens? Exactly. It keeps repeating itself. It keeps repeating itself, because watch what's going to happen here. We keep dropping that next 0. Oh, you got the same numbers. How many times does 12 go into 80? 6 times again, minus 72. Okay, drop another 0, and you're going to see that it's going to be 466.6 repeating forever. And so, yep, I'll go ahead and just stop and round off. And so it'll be 466.67, only because the problem says nearest hundredth right there. All right, the problem says nearest hundredth, but boom, we'll go ahead and say that B is the answer, and that's it. But allow me to go ahead and review this question one more time, just in terms of how we went about this. So you can go ahead and understand that, hey, look, rate equals distance over time, or I'm going to go back to what I had before, where I plugged in everything into the equation. So remember, distance, so pay attention here, guys. Distance, we had 5,600 right there. Distance, we had 5,600 miles. Next, the rate, that's what we're looking for, right? We're looking for the rate, so we're going to keep it as is, keep it right there, not going to do anything. But the time, we had 12 hours for time. And there it is. Now, let me ask everybody real quick. Everybody, so even if you're stuck or lost, if you had an equation saying 5,600 equals R times 12, and you wanted to figure out what R was, everybody, what do we need to do to this equation to get that R by itself? That is correct. We got to divide by that 12 there. We got to divide both sides by 12 because remember, solving equations is the art of working backwards. If we see here that we're multiplying by 12, well, if we want to get rid of that 12, we are going to divide it. And everybody, exactly, Benjamin, just like Benjamin said, if we are going to multiply and then divide the same thing, what's going to happen with those 12s? What's going to happen there, guys? Correct, correct, correct. They will cancel out. Exactly. And so, booyah, those 12s cancel. And all that's left to do is the 5,600 divided by 12. And so, boom, that's what we're going to do. And so the idea here is understanding where to plug in into the formula. Because we're looking for rate, you're not plugging anything into the rate. You're leaving it as R because that's what you're looking for. We were given a distance that we were able to plug in and a time that we were able to plug in. Once we had that, then we plug it in, solve, and we're finished. So the process by which we actually solve, it really depends on what's being plugged in and where. That's why I'm going back to what I said before. It's too important to understand the formula, not just memorize it, but understand it so you can plug in the right things in the right places. And so Mario, yeah, we could absolutely do this with mental math. I'm going to keep it short here, but with mental math, one thing that we can do is say, hey, look, I can divide, instead of dividing by 12, the big 12 in the beginning, I can divide by, well, I know that 12 is 2 times 6. So let me divide by the 2 first, and then divide by the 6. You can do that with mental math in your head if you would like to. But I'll reserve that for another time to make sure that we can all stay here and understand that we can still do it with long division. We're good. I want to make sure you learn today as opposed to trying to learn all these tips and tricks. So hopefully that answered your question there. Cool. No worries. Yeah, so AD is going to be distance equals rate times time. Exactly. Rate equals distance over time. Absolutely. Time equals distance over rate. Absolutely. Yep, you got that right, AD. That is perfectly written. Absolutely. Absolutely. And so with that said, I want to invite you guys to try out this last problem. And remember, the idea here is to go ahead and understand what you're looking for first, then understand what you're given and where it belongs in the context, in the equation, in the formula. So King, we're going to be doing this today and tomorrow. Tomorrow we have all the word problems, the test level word problems that we're going through tomorrow. Yeah. And Thursday we got verbal skills. So with that, let's go ahead and dive into this next problem. I'm going to give everybody here 2 minutes and 15 seconds to try it out. ASVAB time is 1 minute, but I don't care about that right now. I care about our ability to set it up and see where we can go from there. So one quick thing, Lance, I'll let you unmute yourself if you would like to. Oh, whoops, crap. I went ahead and took you off for a second. Put your hand back up, Lance. Perfect. All right, go ahead and ask your question. What's up, boss? Oh, you got to unmute yourself first. Is it not letting you?
There we go. Okay.
Cool.
You hear me? All right. So
Yeah.
I want to ask you. So the first question that we did, right? We multiplied, right?
Yep.
The second
Absolutely.
one, we divided. So with different, like let's say we're trying to find the time. Is it a different formula for that?
So the thing is, they're all the same formula. All we're doing here, Lance, and that's a great question. All we're doing here is plugging in to what we have and then solving for what we don't have. So notice how in this first problem, the convenient thing about it was that, hey, we had the rate, we had the time, and so all we had to do was multiply. Now, take a look at this next problem. We had the time, we had the distance, looking for the rate. Notice how that 12 was in the way of getting that rate.
Right.
So we had to divide to find the answer in that case. But we're still using the same exact formula.
So how do we know when to divide? How do we know when to multiply? Does it tell us that? Or
so you have to know what's going where. So notice how here we put in the time, we put in the distance. And so you see here, you can just take a look at this and I can erase what we've done. you can look at this and say, hey, look, if we're looking for rate, hey, this right here is in the way, right? Yeah. And so that's in the way. And so you have to know, oh, I got to solve this. I got to get that 12 out of the way. I got to divide. But it's up to you. It's situational awareness.
Okay, perfect. I got it now. Thank you.
Cool. So I hope that makes sense for anybody else out there who may have had the same question. And so with that said, I invite y'all to try this next problem out. I'm going to go ahead and mute everybody real quick. Here are the rules, everybody. Simply type ready when you're ready in the chat box and you're good to go. So with that said, 3, 2, 1, let's try this one out. And again, what I care about most is the setup. All right, is the setup. If there's one thing that you may notice in the meantime, while you're setting it up, it is probably going to be this. And I'll point that out for you clear as day right now. Still got 30 seconds left, guys. Remember, first job, point out what you're looking for. Second task, set it up. Set up the formulas. Where are you plugging in into where? And then double check to make sure the units line up. Then step 3, calculate. But don't worry about calculating if you don't know what you're looking for, okay? And 3, 2, 1, time. Let's go. Let's go, let's go, let's go. Let's go, let's go, let's go. All right, so I see here that we got some C's and B's coming in here. All right, gang, let's go ahead and see what's up now. Let's go ahead and see what we got. All right. Ibrahim, hey, man, no angry emojis here, man. We got this. So let's go ahead and begin here. How many times will it go around in 9 minutes? All right, so right here, let me go ahead and make this a little bigger. How many times will it go around in 9 minutes? All right, so the key words here that we're looking at primarily is, hey, how many times? I'm gonna go ahead and let's zoom in here. There we go, perfect. All right, so how many times will it go around? So how many times will it go around? And if you read earlier, it says, you know, a toy train goes around the track every 20 seconds. So is it safe to say that what we're looking for is the number of laps in 9 minutes? Is that safe to say, everybody? The number of laps in 9 minutes. Is that what we're looking for? Yes or no? Right on, right on. We see a lot of yeses coming in there, and it is. If we're talking about a toy train going around the track every 20 seconds, blah, blah, blah. But we see that it's going around the track. And we want to know how many times it'll go around the track. So we're counting laps. Now, let's understand this real quick. Laps. Okay. That's not a true distance. That's not a true rate. It's not a true time. What is this going to be classified as, everybody? What is laps going to be classified as here? Let's use our context here. What is laps? Is that distance, rate, or time? What is that to you? Janae came in fast there with distance. I saw Simone come in with speed, rate, distance, rate, speed, distance, rate. Okay. The distances are overtaking. It is distance. Remember, guys, remember. I'm going to go back to this one right here. Remember, distance is the amount that you're trying to accomplish. We are trying to see how many laps we can accomplish in 9 minutes. So for those of us that were saying rate, do you understand now why it's laps? And even if you don't, notice that for a rate, we need like not laps, but like laps per minute or laps per second, right? That's what we would need for rate. We don't see that. What we see here is simply laps, simply an amount that we have there that we're trying to accomplish. So I'm really hoping that you see that. And Crystal, you converted seconds to minutes. That is a correct way to go about it. So let's go ahead and understand it again. The distance that we're looking for, that is laps. So that is distance. That is distance. That's what we're looking for. Everybody clearly, 9 minutes. What is that? Minutes by itself, minutes standing alone. That is time. Yep. That is just a time standing by itself. Now, when we see over here, goes around the track every 20 seconds. So what does that mean, guys? In 20 seconds, how many laps do we do? That's right, just one. Exactly. That's just one lap in 20 seconds. Exactly. And so I'm going to play off of that for a moment. So 1 lap per 20 seconds. That's really what that is. And that looks a little confusing, right? That does look a little confusing. And let me help you all out real quick. I got your back. So put your pencils down, put your pens down, everybody. Give me all of your attention because I want to make sure that this part, what I'm about to do right here, really makes sense. Because there's a big fat problem that we got to deal with. There's an elephant in the room, and it's this. We got 1 lap every 20 seconds, and then we see 9 minutes. That is a problem. Everybody, are seconds and minutes the same unit for time? I know it's a rhetorical question, but I got to hear you answer it. No, they are not. They are not the same unit for time. We got to use the same unit. So this is where we have to be a little more intuitive. All right. And that's just the fancy way of saying, let's use our common sense. And I'm not saying common sense in the sense of trying to put anybody down. I'm just saying use your intuition here. If you are doing 1 lap in 20 seconds, everybody, how many times does 20 seconds fit into a minute? Help me out again. 20, 40, 60. How many times is that? That's right. So if you do 1 lap in 20 seconds, does that mean that you're doing, so 1 lap in 20 seconds, does that mean that you're doing 2 laps in 40 seconds and also means 3 laps in 1 minute? Is that what that means? Does that mean that we can say, hey, we can just turn that into 3 laps per minute? Are we allowed to do that? Are we allowed to say that? Absolutely. Absolutely. Mathematics is very fluid like that. 3 laps per minute. Yeah, it is a fast toy train. Mind the language, but yeah, it is a fast toy train. That is so yeah, that is our rate here. And so just like before, everybody, remember, it is not about memorizing the formula. It is about understanding the formula. Everybody, I want everybody, what is the formula again that relates rate, time, and distance? What is that formula? Type it out again. I want everybody here to type it out. I got to make sure you know it. What is it again? That's right. That's right. Everybody follow suit there. Yes. Distance equals rate times time. You got to know your stuff here. You got to know your stuff because is distance what we're looking for? Yes, it is. Right here, we're looking for the number of laps. So we're going to leave that alone. I'm going to leave that alone as D. Next, what do we got? Well, my rate, what did I find my rate to be? Oh, it's right here. 3 laps per minute. So my rate, I will turn it into 3. And then what is my time? My time, we labeled that as 9 minutes. So are you guys starting to see? Are we starting to see how it is that, again, understanding a formula will allow us to use it in really whatever situation comes our way? Even if we're not quite used to it right now, that's fine. The goal is to better prepare ourselves to be able to tackle these more complex problems so that we can get a higher score. That's the idea here. And so boom, the time right there, we plug it in. And now, does this look like a pretty easy problem? Oh yeah, because distance equals 3 times 9, and that is 27. Everybody, 27 what? 27 what? 27 laps. That's right, gang. 27 laps. 27 laps. Exactly. And that is answer choice C. So there's the answer there. But let me review it before we recap this session today. Again, this isn't terrible. I'm telling you, this is a problem you should be able to do in under a minute with some guidance and practice. Absolutely. But if you're looking at this and you're saying, man, this is insane right now, this is crazy. Look, everybody starts somewhere. Everybody starts somewhere. First step, did you understand the question? Did you understand that we were looking for how many laps? Then, did you understand that if we're looking for the number of laps and they gave us 9 minutes and then they give us a rate here, a speed, then boom, we got to think about distance equals rate times time. From there, fill in what you got and call it a day. There was a little side hustle we had to go through, which was making sure we turned that 1 lap every 20 seconds to how many laps every minute. And so we did go through that little detour, but we came back and we plugged in everything we had so we can figure out what we wanted to find. And that's how we got 27. So how we know we have to use this formula. Again, Sahiba, again, you have to be able to look at the information, the keywords, and bring it out. And so if this is your first time seeing stuff like this, I got a lot of practice for you. I got a lot of things that you can use to make sure that you're bettering yourself. And so with that said, I got to show you here on the right side, all the problems that we're going to be dealing with come tomorrow, okay? We're going to be doing all of these problems in tomorrow's class. So make sure to bring your hard hats. We're going to be getting stuff done tomorrow. And hey, Anderson here, your ASVAB coach. If you like what you saw in this video, make sure to give us a thumbs up, comment, and subscribe. That way we can keep putting out great content for you. Also, if you want to join my group tutoring classes or raise your score with other courses like my bootcamp courses for math and word knowledge, hey, do your thing. The links are in this video, so that way you can raise your score and get the military job you deserve. And so with that said, again, I'm Anderson, your ASVAB coach. Let me know if you have any questions. I'll see you in the next video.